JK Rowling just went full force scorched earth on Emma Watson and gave a little dig at Daniel Radcliffe too. For those of you who don't know, Emma Watson played Hermione in the Harry Potter series. Daniel Radcliffe played the lead role Harry Potter. So before I dive into this tweet that's just an absolute massacre, let me give a little history of what's happened, how it all got to this issue of them having beef with each other throughout the years, because some of you might not know. So basically, this whole thing started with JK Rowling writing this huge story on her website, basically talking about the importance between the separate genders and how they're different, and how it kind of goes against the feminist movement, which it does, because basically with all this trans stuff, you're allowing grown men into your spaces, whether it's like the bathroom, the changing room, sports, whatever it is, you're allowing grown men in your position. And it really goes against feminism. That's what she's saying. JK Rowling is a huge feminist. There's plenty of stuff I don't agree on her with, but she has been a very vocal person when it comes to this, to the point where people have tried canceling her, boycotting Harry Potter stuff, including like the video games, the series coming out. People talk about boycotting that too because JK Rowling's involved in it. But basically, people have tried to ruin her career. So in response to this was back in June 2020. So this is a while back during the pandemic, all the crazy stuff. The same day, Emma Watson puts this out on Twitter. Trans people are who they say they are and deserve to live their lives without being constantly questioned or told they aren't who they say they are. And then she commented below, I want my trans followers to know that I and so many other people around the world see you, respect you, and love you for who you are. A clear response to what JK Rowling said, clearly trying to distance herself, because I guess since JK Rowling made the whole Harry Potter series, she's one of the lead characters. I guess she either felt pressure to speak up and say something about it, or she thought this might like hurt her too negatively. So she wanted to, I guess, get ahead of it. And so she said, trans people you can't question anything. Trans people, if someone is a man and says they're a woman, you can't question that. That's their identity now, no matter what. You can't say anything about it, which is such a absolutely delusional take that makes absolutely zero sense and will never make sense until the end of time. So she continued later on. This was like 2 years later, I believe. She made a little comment that's clearly a dig at JK Rowling.
I'm here for all of the witches.
Yeah, see, clearly that was a dig, right? All the witches, including the trans witches and the trans men witches and all that stuff. She wants to make sure everyone's included in all that, right? It's all about inclusivity. You don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. So then she just did this interview recently. This is like a small clip from it where she's basically trying to say that like, oh, I've never thought negatively of JK Rowling and blah, blah, blah. So let me just give it a play a little bit.
Ever cancel her out or cancel that out for anything. It has to remain true. It is true. And this is where this like holding of these, I just don't know what else to do other than hold these two seemingly incompatible things together at the same time and just hope maybe they will one day resolve or like co-join themselves, and maybe accept that they never will, but that they can both still be true. And I can love her. I can know she loved me. I can be grateful to her. I can know the things that she said are true. And that can be this whole other thing. And my job feels like to just hold all of it. But the bigger thing is just what she's done will never be taken away from me.
So she basically pulled a Kamala Harris there and said a whole lot of nothing. There is really nothing of substance, and that's pretty much what this whole interview is. And she kind of seemed like, I don't know, almost trying to be like a victim here, almost like, oh, I never try to take anything away from her. I know who she is, and she knows who I am. Basically acting like, oh, they're still friendly, even though these differences, even though she has distanced herself this whole time from her, Daniel Radcliffe, the guy who plays Ron Weasley, they've all distanced themselves. They've had Harry Potter reunion events where J.K. Rowling was not invited to when she created the whole universe. Like, they've always made sure they kept a distance from her. So now, J.K. Rowling apparently has been holding quite a bit back, because she went absolutely off here. So let me just read this like paragraph to paragraph. I'm seeing quite a bit of comment about this, so I want to make a couple of points. I'm not owed eternal agreement from any actor who once played a character I created. The idea is as ludicrous as me checking with the boss I had when I was 21 for what opinions I should hold these days. Emma Watson and her co-stars have every right to embrace gender identity ideology. Such beliefs are legally protected, and I wouldn't want to see any of them threatened with loss of work, violence, or death because of them. Even though she's been threatened with loss of work and boycotts and stuff like that because of her opinions. She's not wishing on them. However, Emma and Dan in particular, calling them two out, have both made it clear over the last few years that they think our former professional association gives them a particular right, nay, obligation, to critique me and my views in public. Years after they finished acting in Potter, they continue to assume the role of de facto spokespeople for the world I created. So this is what I'm talking about, where they do like little reunions, they talk about the universe, stuff that JK Rowling is not like invited to. So they're still speaking about the roles they had, and it's basically saying like, oh, we're gonna do all this Harry Potter stuff, but we're gonna forget JK Rowling even exists, you know? Basically like act like she was never a part of anything. When you've when you've known people since they were 10 years old, it's hard to shake a certain protectiveness. Until quite recently, I hadn't managed to throw off the memory of children who needed to be gently coaxed through their dialogue in a big scary film studio. For the past few years, I repeatedly declined invitations from journalists to comment on Emma, specifically, most notably on the witch trials of JK Rowling. Ironically, I told the producers that I didn't want her to be hounded as a result of anything I said. So the witch trials of JK Rowling, I think it's something that she produced herself. I'm assuming it's something Harry Potter related. And she even said she didn't want like Emma Watson getting like harassment in any kind of way. So she declined to even talk about any of the situation, the drama, even though she feels like her and Daniel Radcliffe have been continuing about it nonstop and talking about it and basically demonizing her over it. The television presenter in the attached clip highlights Emma's all witches speech. And in truth, that was a turning point for me. That was the clip I showed you a minute ago. But it had a postscript that hurt far more than the speech itself. Emma asked someone to pass on a handwritten note from her to me, which contained a single sentence. I'm so sorry for what you're going through. And then she puts in parentheses, she has my phone number. So she did this little handwritten note, pass it on like it's like elementary school, with just that one little short sentence. This was back when the death, rape, and torture threats against me were at their peak, at a time when my personal security measures had to be tightened considerably, and I was constantly worried for my family's safety. Emma had just publicly poured more petrol on the flames, yet thought a one-line expression of concern from her would reassure me of her fundamental sympathy and kindness. See, this is where the whole fake Hollywood stuff goes into play. If you genuinely meant you're sorry, right, you would at least say it to her in person, or you would publicly like defend her and be like, she has a right to say what she wants. I might not necessarily agree, but we can have different opinions. You would say that, but these people are so scared of getting like canceled by these woke left people, where they feel like they have to agree with everything the left says. They can't speak out on their own. So then they hide instead of defending people like the one that made her famous, made her a millionaire, made her successful. She can't even defend her in any kind of way besides like a little note. And that's just so disrespectful. Like other people who've never experienced adult life uncushioned by wealth and fame, Emma has so little experience of real life, she's ignorant of how ignorant she is. She'll never need a homeless shelter. She's never going to be placed on a mixed-sex public hospital ward. I'd be astounded if she's been in a high street changing room since childhood. Her public bathroom is a single occupancy and comes with a security man standing guard outside the door. Has she had to strip off in a newly mixed sex changing room at a council-run swimming pool? This must be something really common in the UK, this mixed sex changing room thing. I've never heard of that. So, you know, they are way more woke than we are. Is she ever likely to need a state-run rape crisis center that refuses to guarantee an all-female service? That's definitely odd. To find herself sharing a prison cell with a male rapist who's identified into a women's prison. Yep, we have some blue states that do that. I wasn't a multi-millionaire at 14. I lived in poverty while writing the book that made Emma famous. I therefore understand from my own life experience what the trashing of women's rights in which Emma has so enthusiastically participated means to women and girls without her privileges. The greatest irony here is that had Emma not decided in her most recent interview to declare that she loves and treasures me, a change of tack I suspect she's adopted because she's noticed full-throated condemnation of me is no longer quite as fashionable as it was, I might never have been this honest. Adults can't expect a cozy up to an activist movement that regularly calls for a friend's assassination, then assert their right to the former friend's love, as though the friend was in fact their mother. Emma rightly free to disagree with me and indeed to discuss her feelings about me in public, but I have the same right and I finally decided to exercise it. Oh my God, she went hard here. I wish Emma responded to this, or at least we would know if she read this. Like, it is really like a giant middle finger. Let me pass a note to you saying I'm sorry, but I'm going to say all these things to you in public. And I know you're getting all these threats, but I'm not going to speak out and defend you. Because in reality, if she's like a big person on the woke right, or the woke left, she could be like, hey, let's not do this with her. She would have some influence on people attacking her. She'd be like, hey, don't do that. That's wrong. That's not what we do. Instead, she just stayed quiet and she did these little jabs here and there when JK Rowling was going through all this stuff. And in reality, if she came out and was like, oh, don't do that to her, and then her fans attacked her, that really shows their true colors. They only want you because you're agreeing with everything they're saying. This is the problem with Hollywood. All of Hollywood's like this. They're afraid to speak up. Well, 95% of Hollywood's like this. They're afraid to speak up, say what they really feel. They feel like they have to agree fully with the woke mob or else they're going to cancel. They're going to lose out on movie deals, all these different things. And it puts women like JK Rowling in a tough situation where she's getting threats all over just for expressing an issue that's pretty common sense. This is like an 80-20 issue. It's that crazy 20 that disagrees with this. And they're crazy. This is a normal issue. And like she always says, like, this goes against the feminist movement. You can't invite grown men into the feminist movement. Feminist is like women running. It's women empowerment, right? And it's just, it kind of goes backwards. Like Emma Watson, I'm pretty sure, is a feminist too, but you can't say you're a feminist and want grown men in your spaces. It makes no sense at all. So let me know what you guys think about this awesome post that she did. I'm glad she just went off on her. Like, this is, obviously, you could tell she's been planning, or not planning this, but thinking about this for a while in case a situation like this ever happens. She's obviously got like a lot of built up resentment over all this. And you could tell it's been bugging her for a while. I'm glad she spoke up. She's definitely been a good voice when it comes to these issues, when it comes to women's rights and stuff over the years. Like I said, I don't agree with a lot of what she says because I'm not a big feminist, but I do agree that women need their own spaces. Grown men should not be in women's spaces. It's a common sense issue. And if you told someone 20 years ago this would be a big debate in 2025, they would not believe you. That's like how crazy this is. So I'm glad she spoke up. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about this crazy post. She went absolutely hard. Make sure you like, subscribe to my other social medias in the description below. And I'll catch you next time.